how to overcome an unclean spirit. We know that we wrestle not against the flesh, but against spiritual wickedness in high places and evil principalities, which are demons and fallen angels. So how do we keep ourselves safe and sane when we are attacked by demonic unclean spirits that are upset with the believer of God because they cannot reprobate our mind, because they cannot cause us to go back into a world of sin, because they cannot cause us to get on drugs, and they can't cause us to walk into the drug house, and they can't cause us to shoplift at stores or at the grocery store. So the devil will get upset because he cannot find a way to get an access and a space into the mind, heart, and life of the believer. Those kind of things, the reprobated spirit would prefer us to do are the things that leads to incarceration, are the sins that leads to death. So how do we stay on the path of Christianity? We know that when Jesus had told his disciples to pray for a person and they were not able to cast the unclean spirit out, he said these only come out by fasting and by praying. We have to have a made up mind. We have to pray. We have to fast. We have to have a mindset and a regimen and a life patternized by faith and belief. We have to abstinate, we have to fast, and we have to pray. Because it takes all these things to make it. It takes all these things to make it. We have to stay sober in our mind, body, and soul. We know the devil goes around as a roaring lion seeking whom he may to devour, who he resists the steadfast in faith. Because we're faithful, because we know that we cannot make it without God. Because we know that the Lord, had not the Lord been on our side all these years, and we know that God continuously reminds us to make sure that we stay on that narrow road and never forget who he is. We don't want to be like Moses at the waters of Meribah. He had done so good, he was going so good, until he got high-minded and said he put the water in the rock. He had not put the water in the rock. It was God. It was the Lord who had put the water in the rock. And so he got high-minded. And so he was never able to go into the promised land and to be so close that you can go to the top of the hill and look over but not cross over, and to know the Lord had gave him such a body that he was old in years, still not dim in his eye, hadn't went blind, didn't have cataracts, still healthy in his body. And because of sin, it was because of sin and rebellion and becoming arrogant and high-minded and not watching out for them spirits. We have to watch out for the workers of concision. We have to watch out for his doctrine. It's a doctrine. It's like a dog after the throwing up, going back, licking up, vomiting after a righteous person, knowing the holy commandment, returning to a world of sin. We don't want to be left in a state of sin. Sin leads to death. We have to remain wide awake, because the devil wants us to relax and to become complacent, so we are not alert and aware of his snares, and we become entangled. And we have to be careful that our mind, that our flesh is not tempted. We have to be careful because we feel like wanting to blurt out a swearing word. We know the world is watching us, and we have to be an example. We have to hold up the bloodstained banner. We have to be careful. We can't get loose in our language, our conduct, our apparel, our appearance. We have to be careful. We have to let our light shine so they will see the God in us, so that they see Jesus in us. After all these years and many more to come until the Lord call us home, we have to do what God has for us to say. For the people to hear and understand how far He has brought us and how He's bringing us even right now. We have to have a word and a witness. We have to have a blessed assurance. Hallelujah. And I made up mind what it is. What it is. It's the God. It is the God in us is His proof and His evidence of how He keeps His people. How He keeps His people. I used to cry because my mother used to get on me so much. LaDonna, you better get up and such and such and such. We got to do what God said. Yes, little daughter got to do what God said. I went on 7 ordination to become an elder. And my mother would have been very proud of me. I'm not in the street. I'm not on drugs. I'm not drinking. I'm doing what my mother told me to do, serving God. And what it is, the world will try to glamorize sin. There's nothing out there. It will make it look like it's just so exciting. Sometimes reading a book, just drinking a cup of tea and reading a book and drinking some water and just taking a walk and getting some fresh air. We have to remember to do these things. We have to remember to be the way God has called for us to be. We know that we go through because the determination in our mind to not let our steps slide. Hallelujah. And we know that it will look like friends sometime walk away because of what you won't act like and the things that you won't indulge in. And people won't always like you because you won't do things like the world. And they'll get upset sometime. They'll hurt you to your heart and call you everything but a child of God. But you got to have a made up mind. These things come by fasting and prayer, persevering and holding on to the Lord's unchanging hand. You got to know who brought you this far by faith. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy is coming in the morning. It's not always going to be easy, but we have to stay, hallelujah, on the narrow road. Because broad is the road to destruction. We know as the years go by and we start to get wrinkles under our eyes. Oh, Lord, I still got to hold on. When the hair begin to turn gray, we got to still hold on to God. These things come by fasting and prayer. We have to get a little walking stick sometime. We get a little arthritis, but still and yet holding on. These things come by fasting and prayer. We know we're in the preparation room. This is just a rehearsal. When we get to heaven, hallelujah, and receive our robe and our starry crown, and hear the Lord say, well done, my faithful servant, my good and faithful servant. 99 and a half just won't do. We got to come out from among the riots. We got to come out from among things that cause us, hallelujah, to be separated from God. We don't want to be cut off. We don't want to be separated from God. We have to be careful. We don't want to hurt people with what we say, and we don't want to be over-opinionated. We then don't want to be weak and have people take advantage because we love God so much. Look like we keep giving the coat off our back. We have to be careful and keep a coat for ourselves. Hallelujah. We have to wait on God. These things come by fasting and prayer. We got to hold on to our faith. These things come by fasting and prayer. God has brought us from a mighty long way. brought us out of the miry clay, set our feet upon the rock, and establish our going. We got to know that it was God and God alone. We know that we can't make it without Jesus seated on the right hand of the Father. We got to say, Lord, help us. These things come by fasting and prayer. We got to be disciplined. We got to have control. We got to have the integrity. We know the race is not given unto the swift, but unto them that endure until the end. These things come by fasting and prayer. We got to be steadfast and unmovable. We got to abound in every area, in every level and evidence of the faith. These things come by fasting and prayer. We got to hold on. We got to believe. We got to trust in God. We can't let go. We didn't come this far to let go. He hadn't brought us. Hallelujah. This many years for us to begin to not believe God. We got to hold on and believe God. These things come by fasting and prayer. We know he can't fail. We know God is just who he is. He says, I am that I am. When they ask you who brought you out of the wilderness, tell him, I am that I am. Brought you out of the wilderness, out of the darkness, walking into the marvelous light. We got to know it deep down, way down on the inside. Who has brought us this far by faith? Jesus has brought us this far by faith. We find these truths to be self-evident. We know these things come by fasting and prayer. We'll be able to see the devil before he should try to attack. So we'll be able to come up with a plan to throw the devil back. These things come by fasting and prayer. Be blessed.